Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. So if you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and bell icon right now. So, are you a romantic asexual? Could be heteromantic, panromantic, biromantic, homoromantic, any sort of romantic. And you're on the dating scene, you're on dating sites, dating apps, dating groups you might be in. And are you sick and tired of being turned down because you don't want sex? Well, I'm here to say to heterosexuals that might be watching this, stop devaluing romantic relationships that don't involve sex. So earlier I had a guy on Badoo and he liked me. And so I liked him back. He was good looking and he said he was looking for a relationship. So I thought, has he read my bio? Unlikely, because most of the guys on Badoo, they don't bother to read your bio. Badoo, in case you didn't know, is a dating app and dating website. And they do have an asexual category, but you can't filter by asexual, which is weird. But there we go. And you can join the site for free. You can message people for free, but you can't see who's liked you unless you have premium. I got upgraded to premium because I've been on the website for quite a long time for free, but there's still an additional thing that I could buy called Premium Plus. You can also gain credits as you watch videos, but I found out recently that those credits expire within 6 months if you don't use them. And unfortunately, when I tried to use them, it tried to make me buy more credits that I didn't need because I have like 190 credits. And the thing I was going to buy with it was only 100, but they were forcing me to pay more money for more credits. So I emailed them and they haven't got back to me yet. So there are downsides to Badoo, but I think it's good they do have an asexual category on there. They do seem to listen when people say if they're being, harassed or something on there. They've got a lot of buttons you can report. But they do encourage swiping 50 people to find your match. So it's all about playing a numbers game. So literally, I'm talking about guys at the moment because I'm only attracted to guys, so I only have experience of guys on that site. Guys just swiping, and liking without looking at bio. So there are people that do look at my bio, and those people you can find out in the who's viewed you. So even if you can't see your likes, you can see who's viewed you. But then if someone's liked you and they haven't actually viewed you, then by all intents and purposes, they haven't read your profile. So this is one way you can find out without even asking. But as an asexual who's sex repulsed and a romantic asexual, I would encourage you, if you're like me, to actually say to the person every time you get into conversation with them, or most times you get into conversation, hi, thanks for chatting, like, thanks for your message, this type of thing. Have you read my bio? Something like that. Because there's no point in wasting your time getting into a conversation thinking, oh, this person must like me for being me and they must accept my asexuality because they've liked me. It doesn't work like that. Badoo encourages people to swipe and like 50 people in order to find your match. That's what they're saying. In other words, 1 in 50 people should be a match for you. When you're asexual, and I've only seen 8 asexual guys. When I say asexual guys, 8 guys on the asexual spectrum. The majority of whom were on the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum and wanted a sexual type of relationship. So they were no good for me. One was in my city, foreign, but he smoked and had a beard. I cannot be doing with a smoker, and it makes my chest and respiratory system really bad. And also, I'm not attracted to guys with beards enough to want to kiss them. I just can't do it. Maybe if a guy's got a tiny little beard, but not a big bushy beard, I can't be doing it. Anyway, so this guy, I said, have you read my bio? And he said, well, first of all, that was what I said to him when he messaged me. And I said to did I oh, he liked me and I liked him back, and then I messaged him saying, "Thanks." So I messaged him before he messaged me, but he liked me first, even though so I saw him and thought he's quite nice looking, but he liked me first, and then you can click through to message. But it's like a generic message Badoo give you. It seems to be that you can't actually always message a person first without doing one of their generic messages. So I clicked to say hello to them at this person, this guy, and it did a generic message from Badoo. There's different ones, so they're not all the same. But it's like, "Hi, what have you been up to?" Which I think is a really bad start anyway, because it's kind of like, you know what I mean? It feels a bit accusory, like, "What have you been up to?" Really weird. But anyway, after that, I said, "Have you read my bio?" And then he replied and said, "Oh, I have read your bio," which clearly he didn't read before. And he says, like, "But I can see that you're just looking for a friendship, not a relationship," with a miserable face. So I said to him that this was the gist of what I said. I replied back saying, "Well, only a person who doesn't understand asexuality would say something like that. And that any relationship, choose what sexuality you are, is based on any good, healthy relationship, whatever sexuality you are, is based on a deep friendship as its foundation. And I don't just want uh, I don't just want a friendship because I don't kiss. I don't think I use those words. I said something. I basically said that I don't kiss my friends, and that if you think a romantic relationship without sex is not a relationship, just a friendship, then we would 100% not be suitable. And I wish you well and the best of luck and find a girl with the sex drive that you want. So that was what I said. But I'm absolutely fed up with guys on dating apps and dating sites that every time well, not every time, a lot of the time, I say to them, I want a relationship. And the type of relationship I want, they just automatically say it's a friendship. I do not kiss my friends. I do not cuddle my friends. I do not hold hands with my friends. Those are strict boundaries I have. Yes, I hug my friends hello and goodbye, some of them. Not all of them if they don't want that. But I do not go around sitting there cuddling them, sat on their lap, in between their legs, kissing them. This is stuff I only do in a romantic relationship. Of course, sometimes I kiss guys and girls. That's because I'm attracted to them. I wouldn't mind dating them or being possibly in a relationship. But, I don't do that with my friends. It's completely different. And I think it's a sad state of affairs in the world when all people do is relate a relationship to sex. And how many people who are involved in a relationship, if they never had sex at all, would be with that person? It seems not very many. I actually watched a dating channel, traditional dating channel, and they were saying, I think they did a survey or they asked some people, like, were if the person you're in a relationship with currently was no longer having sex with you, would you stay in that relationship with them? And majority of them answered no. So everyone's equating a relationship, not everyone, but a lot of heterosexuals are equating a relationship to sex being involved. And if it's not, then it's not a relationship, it's just a friendship. And I think that's super sad. What about all of the people that are disabled, that are impotent, that can't have sex for some biological or physiological or tragic circumstances? They're not asexual, but they can't have sex. Do they not deserve to have a relationship without sex? Are you just going to plonk them in? Oh, you can only have a friend. You can, because basically you're not able to have sex, so you're not worth having a relationship with unless I just like you as a friend. That's it. It's just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. I understand some people like and need sex in a relationship. Okay. But you don't have to make the person who's romantic and wants a relationship without sex to be just wanting a friendship. That is devaluing a romantic relationship without sex. And yes, friendships are very important. They're very amazing. They can be incredible. But that doesn't mean to say that you should devalue a romantic, sexless relationship by saying it's just a friendship, because that's devaluing it, it's dismissing it, it's making it less important. And I'm not saying friendship is less important than a romantic relationship, but the way in which heterosexuals are doing this on dating sites is devaluing a romantic relationship, because it's saying, if you don't have sex with me, I can only think of you as a friend. I'm not looking for a friend, so I'm off. Right? And this is disgusting. Why should we be living in the 21st century with every heterosexual, well, not true of every heterosexual, but seemingly every heterosexual on dating sites thinking, ah, I want sex, and if I can't have sex, you just want friends, I'm not interested, right? I know it's people's prerogative, but why is it devaluing it? Why is it putting you in the friend zone just because you don't want sex? It's disgusting. It's disgusting devaluing romantic relationships in this way. Absolutely disgusting. I know a lot of aromantics feel the same about platonic relationships and friendships and things like that, and friendship love. They think that having a sexual relationship and people raving about romance, is devalues friendship bonds sometimes, so they have that as well going on in a different way. I'm specifically talking from a romantic point of view in this video, but it's not good devaluing any type of relationship and dismissing it and brushing it off. Yes, people have different wants, needs, likes, and desires, but those should be respected. And the person should just simply say, well, I want a relationship that does have sex in it, and that's not what you want. So I'm sorry I've wasted your time because I didn't read your bio, because they're just wasting my time. It's like, why don't you freaking read my bio? But they don't want to, because all they want to do is swipe to get a possible date. And they just keep swiping, swiping, swiping. And they don't care who they hurt really in the process. Since when has healthy relationships just gone down the toilet so much in life? It's a sad state of affairs when most of the guys on dating apps and dating sites, they just literally want sex, hookups, casual stuff. They don't value a good woman or a good person. Let me tell you, if you're a guy watching this and you come across a good woman, then I would think twice about dismissing her feelings, being horrible to her, not being good to her, and pushing her aside. Because at the end of the day, good people are hard to come by, and you should be looking for someone who's got good personality traits, who's kind, who's caring, who's loyal, who's loving, who's honest. There are a lot of heterosexual women out there that have affairs. They have affairs with guys, they cheat on their guys sometimes as well. Like, women aren't all great. It's kind of hard to get a serious, committed girl who's caring and kind and not bitchy and stuff like this, right? And yeah, okay, you might be like thinking, oh, I can just play the field, I'll just do this, this, and this, but you've got to think of the long term. And in the long term, you need to improve yourself, you need to improve your relationships in general, and you need to be looking to have a serious, healthy, committed relationship. If you want a committed relationship, it needs to be healthy. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to have a committed relationship, but then you should spell that out from the beginning to the person so they're under no false pretenses. But there's going to come a time when a lot of your friends, especially if you're heterosexual, are going to get married and have kids of their own. And then you'll probably end up feeling lonely some of the time. And then you're going to be like, damn, I wish I had a good woman or good person. And they're going to be gone from your life because you just was too busy swiping and hooking up, you know? Think of the long term. The good guys in the world are the ones that can delay gratification. The good people in relationships are ones that can delay gratification, that know that any type of relationship, including friendship, takes time. It takes time to get to know each other, to understand each other, to be able to function together, because you're two different human beings coming together for an experience together. And if you want to grow as a person, then you should be looking to get into a relationship with someone who's going to help you to grow, not stagnate and die inside and stay the same and be mediocre. You want a woman who's going to challenge you, or a person who's going to challenge you to a certain extent, someone who's going to encourage you and support you and, give you a little gentle push behind you, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm here for you, supporting you, you know what I mean? Not push you to do things you don't want to do, but who's supportive and helps you to grow. I think a lot of guys are not thinking of long-term gains, they're just thinking of short-term gains. The guys that are healthy guys are thinking a long term. They're thinking, okay, my friends, they're gonna like eventually leave, get married, have children. I really want a girl of my own. There's a lot of advantages to having a woman by your side, which guys cannot fulfill. A lot of guys, they don't talk about emotional stuff. You can't be fully yourself even with your guy friends a lot. You can't show all your sides to your guy friends a lot of the time. You can show off to your guy friends, you can do a certain amount of stuff with your guy friends, but with a woman, like, she understands you usually emotionally, and especially if she's worked on herself and she's a growth mindset person, and she can actually be independent as well. And she can be there for you in a way that your male friends can't. A lot of the time, guys actually want understanding. They want commitment. They do want to feel loved and supported and cherished and nourished and adored. But a lot of guys are scared to say this because they're like, oh, it's not manly to say this. I shouldn't be feeling this way. So they bottle their feelings up and they end up with quite shallow relationships. I see guys that I do get attracted to, admittedly, and some of these guys, they just all show a lot of the time. They've got to have the latest cool clothes, the latest cool haircut, the latest like trendy. Don't get me wrong, I do like the clothes, but they do it to a point where you can tell that they're hiding behind a facade. Whereas if they just opened up to a woman, for example, and shared their thoughts, feelings, emotions, and be kind and caring and consistent and persistent, they'd be a lot better in the future with a future girl of their dreams. And some guys, will leave their mates for a woman. They won't even think twice about it. And so I think you have to have a degree of understanding, like, how do you stand with your mates? Like, if you go clubbing or somewhere with your mates, have you got this arrangement where if you meet a girl, you can individually go off with that girl, or that you stick together, this type of thing? And does that happen, or does something else go on? I think you have to have a degree of understanding about that. But you have to know that there's going to come a time when you're going to want an understanding girl by your side, or whatever gender you're attracted to. Say, like a hetero girl, a hetero guy, because that I'm a hetero romantic, hetero asexual girl, and guys do need understanding. They do need emotional support. This is something that's very devalued in the world and not a lot talked about. But there's a lot of guys with mental health issues. Apparently, the suicide rate is really high in guys. And why is that? Because they're taught, bury your feelings, bury your emotions, be the man. Being manly is not about suppressing or repressing your emotions. That's actually really bad, because you usually end up passive aggressive. Being manly in a non-toxic way is being able to be self-assured instead of insecure, to understand a woman on her own level, to be able to be emotional as well as mentally strong, to be able to have moments of weakness, if you like, but know they're your greatest strengths, to be able to accept all of the different components of you. If you do not have any emotional side, a woman cannot relate to you. She can't properly feel like you understand her because you don't. You need to understand yourself and peel off the layers of trauma that you've had over the years. You need to peel those layers off, and you need to understand that it's okay to be vulnerable. True, healthy masculinity is about protecting a woman's heart, feelings, and emotions. This means delaying gratification. This means not making your woman jealous of other women. This means if you've got women friends, that you introduce them to your woman, to your partner, that you have an open and honest friendship with that person, and the person you're with is not feeling jealous. If you are a guy who's making your woman feel jealous, or she does feel jealous of other women, you're doing something wrong, because it's up to you to protect the heart of the person you're with. Doesn't mean to say you can't have any friends, but that woman should understand your female friends. She should be spending some time with you and your female friends, not just you going secretly doing things with them. She should feel comfortable with you interacting them in a way. They should be like a friend to her as well. And you should be protecting her heart and emotions and not having affairs, not, being strong, boundary driven with other women. You should be emotional as well. Bottling and suppressing and repressing emotions is usually what people have learnt to do in childhood. It's learned behavior. And you fear opening up and being vulnerable. But unless you open up and be vulnerable, a woman can't really relate to you, and you can't have a healthy relationship. And I know it's difficult if that's a pattern you're used to, but you have to understand yourself. It's only when you have deep introspection of yourself, your personality, your identity, why you do the things you do, why you don't do the things that you want to do, why you don't do what other people want you to do, why you do what other people want you to do, and people please maybe, even if you don't want to. You have to analyze all this stuff. So it's really, really important that you understand that you have lots of layers in your personality, and these layers come from years of experience, and some of these are going to be tragedy, heartache, heartbreak, trauma, stuff like this. And what you need to do is reflect on those things and work through any difficulties they caused you in your life. And only then can you fully be free to understand who you truly are. And that will help you on the path to true love, healthy relationships, and happiness. But along the way, you should not be devaluing someone else's viewpoint, dismissing someone else's feelings, and not learning to understand other people. If they are not what you want, then you simply wish them well and say, we aren't compatible. This is a simple adult conversation. It's not about minimizing someone else's feelings or making someone wrong. It's about accepting differences, and that sometimes there's just an incompatibility there. But you can't understand if it's a true incompatibility unless you've worked on yourself and understand yourself. And you can't understand another person if you've only just met them. You just can't. You can have an understanding of them. You can feel a connection to them, but you can't fully understand them unless you've spent some time with that person. So you have to, what's Jonathan saying? Careful not to assume heteromanticism when you say female friends. You might have already said this before I came on the stream. I'm talking about I start this stream talking about specifically me being a heteromantic asexual, and talking about guys, and the fact that guys on dating sites, a particular guy on a dating site was very dismissing, and the fact that he classed a relationship without sex as just friends. And this is not on. No one should be devaluing a romantic relationship, if sex is not involved. you know, a relationship without sex is just as valuable as one with sex, and it doesn't equate to just friendship if you're romantic. That's what I started talking about in this video, and then I've gone on to talk about healthy relationships and about guys, because I'm talking from, like I said, I'm female. I'm talking about guy point of view, hetero point of view. That's what I'm talking about in this specific video, because I cover all asexual spectrum stuff on this channel, specifically talking about hetero romantic at the moment. But I'm also, at the beginning, I did mention whatever romantic, asexual you are, where you're hetero, pan-romantic, biromantic, homo-romantic, whatever type of romantic you are, you know, people should not be devaluing a relationship, a romantic relationship without sex as just a friendship. This is so insulting and devaluing and dismissive, you know, and this shouldn't be going on. So it's about time people realize that you can have a romantic relationship without sex and it's not a friendship. It's really dismissive. It's really devaluing. And as I was saying, you know, guys need to think about the long term. They need to think about if they want a woman in their life, because we're talking about heteromantic now. I've gone to talking about heteromantic. If they want, or whatever, I just say swap it for whatever gender you want, right? So if you're talking about hetero romantic, you know, it's fine if a guy wants different things to the woman, but he should not just dismiss her feelings and like it's just a friendship. It's not just a friendship. Like I said, I don't kiss my friends, I don't cuddle my friends, I don't hold hands with my friends, you know, and it's very insulting to a heteromantic asexual like me. And I'm sure other asexual romantics can relate to this when they say it's just friendship. You know, it's not just a friendship. It's, you know, and it's about time society was able to see that you can have a romantic relationship without sex. And it can be a very loving, caring, kind relationship. It's very hard, like I said, to get a good woman these days for a relationship. And if a guy comes across a good woman, he should be looking at other aspects, not just if she's going to have sex with him or not. Because his friends usually will get married. They will, if he's a heterosexual guy, particularly, will get married, will have kids, and you know, he will be left alone, most probably, at some point in his life. And then there'll come a time when he's like, oh, I wish I'd actually got a good woman for me now, because I feel lonely and I want someone who understands me, especially emotionally. So I watch a lot of traditional dating coaches. So you know, some of the dating advice they give on there, for example, from a woman dating coach point of view, talking about guys, is, you know, guys do want to be understood. They do have an emotional need, which is not looked at by society. Society is very focused on manly stuff. They're not focused on the emotional needs of guys because it's seen as taboo for guys, heterosexual guys, for example, to be emotional. It's seen as taboo, and it's seen as, you know, oh, you can't have emotions, you know, you're too emotional. But it's okay for guys to cry. It's okay for guys to be vulnerable. It's okay for guys to, you know, be themselves. And you need to peel off all these layers of toxic masculinity that's built up over the years and that has, you know, crushed your soul. Maybe we've all got a lot of trauma, usually from our childhood, and this makes us the way we are today. But we have to understand that some of that has brought with it a lot of unhealthy patterns of behavior, one of which I mentioned earlier was well, I was saying what the opposite is, which is delaying gratification. Healthy guys delay gratification, right? Unhealthy guys will want instant gratification. Like, I want sex now, right? A healthy guy, a guy who's got a growth mindset, will think, okay, which woman or whatever gender he likes, but I'm talking specifically a lot of the time about hetero in this video. You know, and this is my experience I have because I'm hetero romantic. So, you know, they won't look at the long term, but if they're unhealthy guy. If they're a healthy guy, they'll have a growth mindset, for example. They'll be thinking long term, like, okay, what qualities do I want? What personality qualities do I want of a girl? Do I want loyalty, honesty, reliability, compassion, caringness, understanding me? The amount of guys that I come across, I particularly like Indian guys, in case you didn't already know that, I talk a lot about this on this channel, is, they do want to be understood. It's one thing I know, they want to be emotionally supported and understood. I'm very good at that type of thing. I'm not interested in having sex, but I'm very good at emotional support. I'm very good at understanding them on emotional level because I have a huge emotional intelligence. I'm a very sensitive emotional being, if you like. But I'm also very practical, like as in I can look after myself and independent, right? But that's a beauty if you embrace the modern female woman a lot of the time, is that, she can be expressive, individualistic, independent, but also very emotionally supportive of your work and stuff like this. So we're living in the 21st century now, people. And long gone are the days where the guy's the breadwinner and the woman is like sitting at home with the children. There's a lot more women these days that don't want kids. And most of the guys on Badoo, the heterosexual guys, obviously, like I said, there's hardly any asexuals on there. They nearly all want children, right? If they actually thought to themselves, like sat down, do you really need kids? They might actually open themselves up to a world of possibilities of having a relationship with someone without actually having children, but have more options. And a lot of people, they go around having children because it's norm, what society has bred in people, conditioned people to think is the norm, right? But you don't have to have children. If you're just doing that to tick a box, which a lot of people do, it's why a lot of people who grow up as adults have mental health conditions and problems, because they had problems in their childhood. And that was because their parents decided, I need to tick that box, because society expects sex, marriage, kids, go out to work, do a 9 to 5, die. Basically, get a car, get a home, get money in the bank. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We need to be stop looking at life like that. Stop looking at relationships like that, and actually realize that there's more to us than that. And we don't need, there are people that want kids. That's their dream. That's fine. But if you're not really bothered one way or the other, if you're just having kids to tick a box, that is not the right reason to have children. But so many people are doing it. And that's why so many kids are ending up growing up with trauma all the time. Because you're just ticking a box. You're not saying, okay, I want to be a parent. Like, how do I be a good parent? Let me get parenting books. Let me get a parenting coach. Let me get a therapist to work through my own issues so I can be a healthy parent to a kid. Are they doing that on dating sites? I doubt it very much. Right? And the people that have got a growth mindset are more likely to get a healthy relationship because they want to grow as a person. They understand that in order to be successful in life and happier in life, you have to grow yourself. This means working on yourself. This means reflecting on yourself. And a lot of people don't want to do that, but you need to do that if you want to have healthy relationships. Why would you want to have unhealthy relationships? Full of volatility, full of arguments, full of avoidance. Do you want to die on your deathbed thinking, all right, I avoided intimacy. I avoid intimacy. We're not talking about sex. We're talking about all different types of intimacy, right? Intimacy can just be sharing secrets with someone, a friend, right? So if we're talking about like avoidance, like a lot of people avoiding intimacy, like, do you want to be on deathbed going, well, I had a great time avoiding intimacy, avoiding difficult conversations with someone, shutting myself off from the world and not doing anything about it? And my friends or whatever, they got married, had children, and I was kind of left on my own. Like, if you're on your own because you want to be on your own and you're a healthy person for yourself and you love being a solo artist of life, then that's fine. Being a solo artist of life is amazing. I call that, because I am currently a solo artist of life and I love it, right? So there are huge benefits to being single, but I'm talking specifically in this video, like I said at the beginning, about I'm fed up with guides on dating sites, heterosexuals I'm talking about, who are, dismissing a romantic relationship without sex. And there are huge benefits, because a lot of the time, someone who's not focused on sex will hopefully be focused on a lot of the other things. Not necessarily, but I want you, if you come across someone who doesn't want sex, to think twice about if that person would be suitable for a relationship with you in the long term, instead of having instant gratification with a woman down the road who, yeah, she might open her legs for you and you have sex with her, but at the end of the day, what's she going to give you in the future? Are you going to able to have a future with her? Is it going to be healthy? Do you want someone who's just having sex with you like that? Or do you want someone who understands you emotionally, who understands your mindset, who wants to get to know you as a person and stuff, you know? You have to be asking yourself these questions. And if heterosexuals stopped devaluing relationships without sex and actually sought out the qualities of a person, then made the decision based on that, they'd probably have a lot more healthier relationships going forward. Right? You can have a romantic relationship without sex. You can have kissing, you can have cuddling, you can have hand holding. I don't do those things with my friends. Like I said, I don't sit on a guy's lap who's my friend. Most of my friends are guys, by the way, I'll have you know, just in case you're wondering. Nearly all my friends are guys. Right? But I don't go around sitting on my guy friend's lap, sitting in between his legs, snogging his face off. I don't do these things. Right? These are what I do in a romantic relationship. And that level of intimacy, doing those things, is really precious to me. So someone coming on a dating site, putting me down, in effect, dismissing my idea of a long-term committed romantic relationship, is disgusting to me. It's absolutely disgusting. And that's what I wanted to speak about on this video, because I'm sick and tired of it. We should be reframing relationships. You know, yes, there are different types of relationships, all different types of relationships. And like I said earlier, just like aromantics, those that lack romantic attraction get fed up of people going on about romance, you know, which is valid as well. There's just as much concern as a romantic person of someone devaluing a relationship as just a friendship. That doesn't devalue friendships. I have a best friend who I would never be without. And when I'm dating, like if the guy's interested in me, I will tell him straight up, I've got this best friend. He comes and does some shopping for me. He comes and helps me out because I've got disabilities sometimes. He's actually very sick at the moment. He caught a bug off me, but he's getting a bit better now. But yeah, so you know what I mean? I make it known early on that I have a male best friend. And so that the person should instantly know about him, because I don't want any problems there in the future, right? My friendship with him will always be super important. It will be as important as a romantic relationship in a different way, right? But my romantic relationship isn't just a friendship. And I find it really insulting when heterosexual guys say to me about this on dating sites and dating apps. I've had it number of times. You know, oh, I see you just want a friendship. It's like, what part of I like kissing a lot, I like public displays of affection, does that equate to a friendship? Since when has that ever equated to a friendship? I know some asexuals do hug their friends and they do cuddle, you know, well, more than hug their friends. Like I hug my friends, but I don't cuddle them. But I know some asexuals cuddle their friends. I personally don't agree with that because I'm a romantic asexual. I know some aromantics like that. That's up to them. Everyone's different, right? But those type of things need to be established early on in a potential, if you're having a queer platonic relationship, for example, with an aromantic person who lacks romantic attraction and sexual attraction, you then have to establish what boundaries you're going to have in that relationship, right? But I've also known heteromantics, some not so many, who cuddle their friends as well. I personally have a boundary where I do not do that type of thing with my friends. That would be cheating to me. So when I'm in the asexual, I've been talking about heterosexuals pretty much all this video. But if I'm talking to a heteromantic guy, for example, because I'm not really suitable to an aromantic because I'm very romantic. If I'm talking to a heteromantic guy and he cuddles his friends, I straight away say we're not suitable, because that's a boundary that I will not cross with my friends, and I do not want to be in a relationship with a guy who's doing that with other people. To me, that's cheating. That's my boundary. That's my standard. That's my level. Right? So it doesn't mean to say they're wrong. They just need to find a right partner for them who also is fine with that. You all cuddle together, your friends together, whatever you want to do. That's okay if everyone agrees to that, right? But what's not okay is dismissing the type of relationship you want just because someone else doesn't agree with it and doesn't see that as a relationship and tries to put you down about it, you know? So it's not on. And I just get so fed up with it. I'm like, what part of I like to snog a guy's face off means I'm just wanting a friendship? It doesn't make sense. Even the asexuals I know, they most of them don't even like kissing. So even though they may cuddle their friends, I don't know many that kiss their friends, right? And if you do kiss a friend, it's usually just on the cheek or something. You know what I mean? I know in some obviously some religions, some cultures in other countries, they do kiss on the cheek and stuff like that. I realise that in France and things like that, right? So I'm not saying you're never going to kiss someone else, but in that way. But I'm talking about full on snogging on the lips and all this type of stuff. I make it clear that I want a relationship and what that relationship would look like, which I think is very good as an asexual person. I think it's very important when you're dating, looking for a relationship, to be very upfront. This means that, you say, I'm asexual, and you give a person an idea of what type of relationship you are looking for, right? If you're looking for a relationship. And then the other person should be appreciating that honesty. They shouldn't be dismissing it. It's like, oh, I see you're just looking for a friendship. It's like, did I say I'm just looking for a friendship? I said I'm looking for a relationship, a serious committed relationship without sex, without marriage, without kids, and to live separately. And like kissing and cuddling and holding hands, I mean, I can't be more clearer than that, right? But you have to understand that people who are not nice, people who have got unhealthy traits, narcissistic people, even, I'm not saying this guy was a narcissist, because it's just something a lot of the time that heterosexual guys equate sex to a relationship, right? But like, a bad trait, if you like, is someone dismissing your feelings and taking your own situation and changing it to what they want it to be. That's like a form of gaslighting in a way, because they are taking what you've clearly said and changing it for their own benefit and meaning, which is not what you said. If I said I'm looking for a serious committed relationship, then they say you're just looking for a friendship. That clearly is not my reality and not my truth. So they're trying to bend the reality in effect. In which case you can be very happy that that person moved on and that they're wrong for you, right? This is true of any scenario where they're taking what you say in your profile and they're twisting your own words. Why would they be doing that? Why would a healthy person do that? They're not healthy for you, are they, if they're doing that, right? Your idea of a relationship is valid just as any other idea of a relationship. My relationship idea and ideal of a relationship is just as important as a heterosexual idea or ideal. You know what I mean? Everyone has different needs. Some people are kinky, even in the asexual community. I'm not. I don't do BDSM stuff. I hate it personally. But one of my friends does BDSM stuff. They love it. I hate it. So even though I hate it, really hate it personally, I can still talk about the fact my friend likes it. And I've got someone on Twitter who follows me. It's been following me for years. Very, very loyal, dedicated follower. They're into BDSM stuff. That's not what I'm about, but they're still a nice person to me. So, because that's their ideal relationship involves that, or ideal, sometimes they don't even want a relationship. They just want to have people involved with them doing that, which is fine. And they specifically say they don't want a relationship, but what you don't want is to be getting involved with someone who twists your words. Now, this guy moved on because I told him, like, move on, we're not suitable. But if you ever come across someone on the dating app or dating site where they are trying to twist your own words, just move on from them, because they're not a healthy person for you. And there is no way you should be compromising who you are and what you want in life for someone else's ideal of what they think you should be, say, or do. It's very important. Always be yourself in life and understand we need to look within ourselves and we can make improvements with ourselves, right? But we still stay true to who we are. If someone doesn't like our ideal of what a relationship looks like, they can move on. They don't have to dismiss it, put it down, twist your words. This is not good. And I really hope that one day the world understands more about different types of relationships and why you can have these different types of relationships and they don't have to involve sex. and how you can have a romantic relationship without sex, because romance and sex are usually always put together all the time. So I think it's very hard if you're a romantic person to have a relationship, for example, with a heterosexual who always equates a relationship with sex usually. I think it's very difficult if you're romantic, because a lot of romantics, we have this need and desire to be in a romantic relationship because we are romantic in nature. There's less romantics in the asexual community, in case you didn't know. And more people are aromantic, asexuals, and more tend to be women. And I'm attracted to guys romantically, and I'm very romantic. So I wouldn't really be suitable to an aromantic person, not unless they were demi-romantic. So demi-romantic is someone on the aromantic spectrum who only experiences romantic attraction when deep emotional bond has been formed, and then they can experience it fully and deeply. So that person would suit me because I'm very good at emotionally connecting with a guy and understanding him on a deep emotional level. And so therefore a guy who's a demi romantic guy might be suitable for me. But I've known a couple of demi romantics and it's not worked out well at all. I think it's because otherwise they're aromantic, and so it's harder because they're so used to be, they are really close to their friends and stuff. Probably, maybe a romantic relationship isn't as important to them as it would be to me, for example. In my experience, only of two people. This is not the whole spectrum, right? And so even if they can feel deep feelings, they're kind of like, okay, this is just one person. I've got all these, like this other stuff in my life going on, and they don't need a romantic relationship as much in the scenarios that I've personally experienced. Doesn't mean to say that's true of every daring romantic at all, but I'm just particularly thinking of two scenarios from my past, not recently. So I think, you have to respect the fact that people see relationships in different ways, and it's up to the people in the relationship to define the relationship. And if you're a heterosexual person watching this and you're thinking, could I ever be with an asexual? I think you need to ask yourself a number of questions. One is it possible for you to live without sex? Yes or no? Two is, not all asexuals are sex repulsed like me. So you might find someone on the asexual spectrum that could perhaps compromise about when they have sex. Maybe you'd like it 5 times a week and they could do 2 times a week or something. But you have to know, could you do that or not? You know what I'm saying? And also you have to look at other things in a relationship. So for example, could you possibly be with a sex repulsed asexual? If that's the case, then how would you understand a sex repulsed asexual? Like, you'd have to really get to talking to them to understand how they think, feel, act towards sex in their own individuality, because I can talk about sex a lot now in my general talk on this channel, but if have a heterosexual in my inbox that starts talking to me about sexual stuff, it really does make me feel sick after a while. I get really turned off by it, because when I'm talking on this channel, to me, it's like educating people and it's talking about it in a more academic way. When a guy's in my inbox saying stuff, I'm just like creeped out by it. I'm just like, please, you're just too sexual for me. Go away or something. You know what I mean? So I really think you need to be thinking about these things seriously and thinking, okay, there are a proportion of asexuals in the world. A recorded 1% of the population is asexual. This means 1 in every 100 people you meet is likely to be asexual. What type of asexual they are, you won't know. There are more aromantics than romantics. They're more women usually than guys. But you have to take all these things into consideration. If you're on the dating scene and dating apps, think to yourself, like, what qualities do I want in the person? It's not just about whether I have sex or not. And if you could live without sex, like, what would that look like? Would you have to watch porn or not? Because some asexuals consider porn cheating, other asexuals don't. I personally do. I don't like it at all. If a guy's doing that, I just think it's wrong. And porn's not really healthy anyway. If you look at a lot of videos, there's a lot of videos about why porn's really bad for you and bad for a relationship. But obviously, like, some guys might think, okay, well, if I'm not having sex, then I need to watch porn. And some asexuals do masturbate to porn because they still masturbate and they don't mind watching porn. So every asexual's different. And what I'm saying is, you need to get to know the person and know what type of relationship they want, and respect the fact that if they say they want a relationship, then whatever their relationship looks like is what it looks like to them, is a relationship to them. You don't have the authority to come into their life and dictate to them what is and isn't a relationship for them personally, right? For them personally. right? I can't dictate to a heterosexual, don't have sex in a relationship. That would be ludicrous. There are lots of heterosexuals that do need, want, and like sex in a relationship. I accept that. I move on. I'm like, you clearly need it. I've even had guys in my inbox saying, "Oh, I could possibly be without it, or I can be without it," and they carry on talking to me about sexual stuff, and I'm like, clearly you can't be without it. So I wish you luck. I wish you well. Find someone else. It's no skin off my nose. It's better for me to weed out all the guys that do want something that I can't provide, because there's no point in wasting each other's time. Like, I respect their time, they should respect mine, and we move on. But it doesn't mean to say, oh, well, you just want a friendship, so I'm moving on from you. It should be, no, I appreciate, I've read your bio now. Sorry, I didn't, they should be saying, sorry, I didn't read it before, or I've read it now. And, I understand you don't want sex, so that's fine. I do need sex, so move on. And there's some guys that are really good like that. There was one guy on Twitter, he's like a part of a circus act. He was really good looking, and he liked me on Badoo, and I went over to his Twitter account, and then we had a conversation, and it was a mature conversation. Guy in his 20s as well, as far as I remember. This was a little while ago now. And we had this mature conversation, and he was like, really nice about my asexuality, and I was nice about the fact he loves sex. And it was like, we're just not suitable, because he has a high sex drive. I have no drive for sex whatsoever. And so we just parted on really nice terms, and that's how it should be. Dating and relationships should be respectful of different people and people's differences, and there shouldn't be this thing in society where you believe that every romantic relationship has to involve sex. If you think about teenagers, right, before you're legally allowed to have sex, and if you're doing things the legal way, there are some people that boyfriend and girlfriend for years. So the legal age of sex in the UK is 16, for example. But there are guys and girls that get together when they're like 14 years old or 15 years old, and they don't have sex. They might not have sex for a couple of years. So being a relationship with an asexual person who never has sex is just like that, but all the time. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, more so with me, because I like a teenager style relationship, not a teenager style relationship. So, you have to understand there are already relationships in the world, lots of relationships in the world that happen before legal consent is the legal age of consent. That's what I'm trying to say. So different countries have different legal ages of consent for sex. The UK is very young at 16. Some countries are 18, some countries are 21. So if you think about the 21, right, being 21, how many people between the ages like 14, for example, and up to 21 have a relationship? Some people can have a relationship for 4 years without sex in those countries. They could be together when they're young, they could be together when they're like 16 or something, or 15 or 14, and they have to wait till they're 21 to have sex, right? This means they could be in a relationship for 4, 5, or even 6 years maybe, and not have sex. And you don't go around saying to them, you're not having a serious relationship. You're just having a friendship. You're not even in a relationship. Do you go around to school or to high school or college, if they're in college, going, you're not having sex yet, so you can't have a relationship. Nope, you're not having one. That's not how it works in life, people. There are hundreds of thousands of people around the world right now that are having relationships without sex. And I really wish heterosexuals would understand this. There are people in foreign countries that are banned or forbidden to have sex before they're even married. They have sexless relationships for years, right? And so it is highly possible to have a relationship without sex. Just because you're married doesn't mean to say you're even entitled to sex, by the way. You should be discussing that beforehand, before you even get married, right? Whether the person wants to do that with you or not. So there are thousands of relationships right now around the world that are sexless. And these people have been together for years and they're not having sex. And they're not just friends. They're having a relationship, people. They've said, I'm in a relationship. They've put their status on Facebook or whatever. It's in a relationship. They've been together in a relationship for years. But yeah, you're coming telling them, oh, I'm sorry, you're just having a friendship. It's lies. If they're in a relationship, they class themselves in a relationship, they're in a relationship, right? So stop this nonsense. If you're a heterosexual or someone who thinks you can't have a relationship without sex and it's always going to be a friendship, because this isn't true. It's devaluing, it's dismissing, and it's not nice. So this was a message predominantly for those people who are heterosexual to not be like this with asexuals or other people. If you want to know more about asexuality, grab a copy of my Asexual Perspectives book on Amazon. It's a best-selling book. And this is love, life, and sex from an asexual point of view. So if you have got any questions or queries about asexuality, this will answer pretty much all of them. It does ask about asexuals if they're interested in porn, masturbation, kinky stuff. So you can find all that out in this book, not just about me, but 46 other asexuals. And about relationships in general, if they think that sexual and asexual can be together, that type of thing. So check that out on Amazon. It's best-selling book. Go and grab a copy of that, and I'll see you soon next video live stream. Hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to share it. If you got any benefit out of it, please give it a thumbs up. If you liked any insights, I'll see you soon next video live stream. Thank you to the people who've been in chat tonight, Jonathan and Anonymous, and lots of love to you all. I'll see you soon next video live stream. Subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss a live stream like this or any episode whatsoever. Lots of love. Bye.